What is going on, YouTube? Zero Lead here. I'm back again with a new video. Episode 16 of the Disco Era u.s.s Enterprise tutorial. Just want to thank you again for tuning into today's video. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and help me in supporting the channel. Today we have a couple of things to work on. We're going to be continuing the work on neck detail, as well as the impulse engines, shuttle bay, and we're going to build out our deflector dish. Not a super long video today, just over 30 minutes. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. What we're going to go ahead and fix is the detailing in our neck. This line here, I don't like it. It's going a little bit too high up. We're going to fix this and actually just bring it down by 1. So we're going to delete that line on the left. We're going to bring it down by 1 and bring this all the way back to the gray. We're not going to have any light gray in between on this line. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, because that actually looks pretty slick. I like how that looks. A lot more than what I had going on. And really all we're doing at this point is just getting some extra detail in on our ship, trying to do a few things just to bring it to life. If you haven't, pull up those screenshots of your Disco Era u.s.s Enterprise and look at side views of the neck. That's really what I did to get the line work for the detail in here. It's not 100% exact. What I had before was a little bit closer, but sometimes it just doesn't work and you have to slightly change it to make it work within the build that you have. So anyway, we're going to move on from that and get some more work done on our impulse engines. We're going to try to finish them up today. So I've gone ahead and done is added 2 individual spacers in the middle of each of the 2 impulse engines, spread out evenly. And they're only 2 thick, and now I'm going to be adding red blocks and you can see where I have them placed is literally where I have my gray line for my impulse engines placed. That's where this line is going to go. Kind of what I'm trying to do right now is actually just build out the impulse engine itself, the inner working part of it, the part that we'll see anyway. And there's a couple of ways that you can do this. There's actually 2. Well, 2 that I like to use anyway. I'm going to show you the first one, and then I'm going to take that down, and then I'm going to show you the second way. First way is a little bit easier. Either one, they're not hard to do. Very easy to replicate. Alright, and all we need now is pink. And we're going to fill in this gap here in the middle. Okay. Alright, we're good. Let's take a look at our impulse engines. They're not done yet, just trying to get a feel for it. Now you can see it kind of has that glow in the middle. Doesn't look bad at all. But what I don't like about them is that the width of my opening here is only too wide. So this top row right here is actually getting cut off. Now I could fix that by taking off this upper row, which I've tried to do off camera and it didn't look good. So what we're going to do is ultimately we're going to fill in this top row first, let's bring our gray blocks all up to this line right here, the red line that we have placed. We're going to fill this in and do the same thing on the right. Alright, perfect. Let's get the other impulse engine done. I need to go out one more. Alright, let's get the other side done. And these gaps, let's fill this in. Now see how it's all open in there? We're going to have to fill that in too. We're going to do that in just a second here. And then we're going to change our pattern from the 2 red and 1 pink going back to a checkered pattern, which is going to look a little bit better, I think, for this build. And if you really wanted to, you could technically leave it like this. Doesn't look horrible. It's a little dark right now, but we haven't added in the lights inside the impulse engines to just light it up a little bit. We're going to do that here in just a couple of minutes. But it doesn't look too bad. It's actually looking pretty good. Alright, so at this point I've gone ahead and decided that I want to fill in this top row with gray. And don't worry that the fact that that top red line is getting covered up, we're not going to need it. And we're going to fill in this row where the pink is. So this way it's a solid 2 block high red line. And let's do the same thing on the right. We're going to fill in the top with the gray. Alright, now let's fill in that pink row with the red. I'm also going to get a lantern. A couple of lights. And I'm just zooming out, checking my work, making sure what I'm doing, what I did on the left was correct and what I wanted, and also do the same thing on the right. Okay, so we have our double row of red. Now we're going to add our double row of pink on the back. So on existing row, we're just going to add another row of pink underneath that on both sides. So this way we can do our checkered pattern on the other side. This is pretty simple. Just go up and down. And if you have any holes, don't worry about that. We'll fill those in with a gray line. Now look how good that looks. That actually looks pretty decent. And I think that's pretty close in line with how the impulse engines look. They always had like that honeycomb mesh look to them. So I think that's about as accurate as you can probably get. Alright, so we filled in the underside. Let's do this side as well, this way there's no holes. Perfect. Now we're looking really good on our impulse engines. We're almost done with them actually. Looking fantastic. They need some lights though. I'm going to try to figure out what light source I want to use. Now what I don't like about using the candles is that they hang off the ship and it just adds something that basically just shouldn't be there. It's the only reason I don't really care for them. So where I can, I'll just use an actual block light and hide it in the existing build wherever possible so nothing sticks out. There it is. Grab the sea lantern, that's what we need. When in doubt, use the sea lantern. And we're just going to hide it at the top of these pillars. We're going to take out a foundation and then put a sea lantern there. We're going to do the same thing on this one. This way they're hidden, out of the way, but then we also get some much needed light in here. There's other light sources that you can use for the blocks, but I like these the best because they have they're the closest that you can get to it looking like an actual light without it looking like a rock. And I think the last thing you want when you're building one of these ships is any part of it to look like it's built from rubble or any type of rock or concrete. That looks pretty darn good. Looking at the back end of it, the shuttle bay needs some work. We're not going to work on too much of the shuttle bay in this video. We're mostly going to be working on the outer lip of it before we reconstruct the shape of it. But what we're going to add in is our rear running lights. To achieve this, we just need the white half slabs of smooth quartz. And I'm just going to be taking out this gray line on the outer lip. Not going almost all the way back. I'm just kind of eyeing it to see how far I want to go, but not straight across either. You can see I have half slabs built underneath going in as well. So this way, when I put a different color in there, you're not going to be able to notice it. Under it or above it. This way it gives that nice illusion that there's an actual red light in there. And that last one, we're going to have to do something about that. Shouldn't be sticking out that far. Yeah, so this last one on the right, I got to take that one out. No, let's get the same color in, keep the pattern where we had it. That looks pretty good. But I don't know if we're going to keep that. There's a lot of different ways that you can do the running lights on this. Now, I believe in the picture, there's 3 on each side. Might end up doing that. I think I settle on 4 lights on each side, individual rather than just a little red strip. Just kind of getting an idea of which way I want to go with it. You can do a red strip, you can do the sea lanterns, you can do a black strip in there. Either one of the 3 would look good. You could even do a blue strip and probably get away with it. You could also do a brown strip and try to get away with it being like a copper look. Okay, So we're moving on here. We're making steady progress. This is where the real fun begins, where our ship is taking shape. Right now you can see I'm grabbing different shades of brown, and the reason for that is because we are going to build our deflector dish. This will be a lot of fun. So we've already got some of our prep work done. We've already got our X here in the middle. We're going to build out a gray line going straight out. This is going to stand in for our antenna. Actually, let's go ahead and change that to that brown. And that's probably about as close to copper color as you can get it. Alright, so we're going to close in the actual hull section by going inward. We're just literally going to continue the circle row after row, going in one after every complete ring that we complete. Got a couple more to do. I think we'll fill in this last one, just make it flat. See how that looks. Because it doesn't really need to come in that far, but you need to have it definitely needs to bow in a little bit. So if you pull up like a 3D model, or if you have a model to look at, you look behind the deflector dish, it's not flat. It's definitely not flat. We're starting to fill our ship and running out of places to get out of. Eventually, we're going to have all of our hull filled in. The only place we're going to be able to go out is through the shuttle bay. So that's another challenge I've been trying to get around, adding hull ports to get into the ship. And I've been looking at so many different pictures of the original Enterprise and the Disco era Enterprise, and I can't find any hull ports to where you can actually come into the ship, other than, you know, of course, the shuttle bay. So I don't know if it has it. I need to maybe look a little bit more in the forum, see if I can find any. If you've seen that and you know where I can find a picture of that source material so I can make my entrances from my hull that's close to being accurate, let me know, because I'm not sure where to begin on that. Anyway, shifting gears right back into our deflector dish, we're going to build just a square going around our needle in the dead center of our ring. Let's kind of get an idea of what I want to do. And for this, you're not even going to need a pixel circle generator. If you really, really need to, you can. And what you'd want to do is build your ruler training wheel line going straight across this black line, count out the width, and then enter that into your pixel circle generator, and that would be your circle. However, what we're going to do for this video is use the existing ring that we already have. So we're just going to take advantage again of that pre-existing work that we've done before, where we laid out the groundwork of things that we're going to be doing in the future. So I always say, anytime that you're doing these ships, always in the beginning, that's usually the most lengthy part of the build, because the way I do it anyway, I try to get a lot of the harder work done in the beginning in that groundwork. So this way, when I do build out the rest of the ship like you guys are seeing me do, I basically do it in a much easier way than what some other people might do. So hopefully you've seen this as well, and this has given you a couple of ideas on how to build your ship a little bit a little bit more efficiently and better. And you can see I'm just following on with the pattern that we have already. I've just gone out a couple of blocks. And the reason why I'm doing that is because the deflector dish is not flat. It actually kind of cones inward a little bit. So that's what we're going to do, and we're going to do it layer by layer. So let's finish off the rest of the left side, and then we're going to do the right side of our first ring of the deflector dish. And when I'm doing this tutorial, if I'm not covering any of this enough, or if you have a question you get stuck, feel free to drop a comment below in the comment section. I'm usually pretty responsive in the comment section. If I do not answer your question, chances are I'm probably getting ready to answer it in a video. Also, if there are any ship builds that you would like to see me work on in a tutorial, drop a comment below. I've had some people ask me for the Enterprise D. I've had a couple of people ask me for the Enterprise J. Even had somebody ask me for Voyager. I've had recently 1 or 2 people ask me even for a Borg cube. So kind of just waiting to see what people want as a whole, to see what my next tutorial is going to be. But regardless, you guys can expect to see content coming out on a daily basis, Monday through Saturday. So definitely check back tomorrow for episode 17. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot more stuff to work on here. So now you can see I finished my first ring, and I've got in one and back. And now we're just going to continue on. And literally, I'm just building along the lip of our initial line that we've done. Alright, so let's go ahead and bang out the rest of this. And let's zoom out and take a look. So our ring's not going to get any bigger. Alright, let's go ahead and we're going to continue on here. We're adding another layer. Let's go ahead and bang out the rest of this. Looking pretty good so far. I got about 10 minutes left in the build so far. We're rocking and rolling. And we're going to go back even another one. And I don't have a set depth on your deflector dish, just have to do it layer by layer and see what looks good. Now you can see I'm changing it up. I'm going 2 in because I'm kind of getting the feeling at this point that my dish isn't going to go back too much more. And let's add another layer going all the way around. No, let's just do the corners actually. Single block in every corner. That looks good. And I think we're going to go back one more now and down. And I'm going to do a ring going all the way around this opening. Just following along the lip, deleting the access. I'm not sure how much thicker we're going to be making this. Maybe one more and might call it a day. And I think we're going to fill this in. And this original block that we started with, the square, this is the neck for our dish. Alright, let's zoom out and take a look. Now in this video I'm going to mess around with adding an extra black ring in here for some texturing. And you might be thinking the same thing right now, that that might be the only thing that the dish is missing. Now I have gone through a couple of times and I've done a few different things with the deflector dish, and I basically have not come up with anything else that I was satisfied with other than what we just did. That picture is no help. There we go. So you can see it's literally, it's got some lines in here, but we've already got this detail in our dish here. So I mean, there's not much more that we can do to it at this point. I'm going to throw in a black ring just to take a look. But like I said, we're not going to stick with it, and I'm going to take that back out. Now, if you see this black ring, you're like, oh man, that looks awesome. You know, hey, if you think that works on your ship, run with it. That's one thing I will say, that there's no set way in building any one of these ships, and really just comes down to builder's choice. And we're going to do another inner ring, see how this looks. And let's zoom out. And see, that doesn't look bad, but again, you know, there's just no black rings in the deflector dish, just a solid copper ring. So while that might be something that somebody else might do, I think at this point we're just going to make it back to what we had. Now, you never know. I am a Gemini, and I do tend to change my mind every now and again, so I could very well go back in the future and do something even different. But as of right now, the deflector dish still looks as is without the black rings. So I'm just kind of checking it out, seeing if this is what I like. I'm already kind of getting the feeling that I don't like this at this point while I was working on it, and I'm going to get rid of it. But you know, again, that's just one of the things when you're making these ships. You just got to throw something down to get your base to work off of, and then you can start making changes to it. If you're not happy with how it looks, take it down, do it again. If you're not sure how it's going to look, throw it down. You're never going to know unless you try. So, you know, that's honestly how I come up with a good 50% of my builds, is just building something out to see how it looks. I could build something one way one day, and I can go back again and build it again the next day, and it can come out completely different. You never know. We're about winding down here, and I'm just going to fast forward just a little bit. To get the ball rolling, we're going to get rid of these black rings on our deflector dish. Go back to just a solid copper ring. And I'm just slightly altering our initial ring. I just want to see how it looks in the top. Don't think it needs that extra box right there and there, so we're going to get rid of that. Don't think really have to do too much to that. I think that is going to be sufficient. I think we've got one last thing left to do before the end of this video. We're going to make one minor change to the impulse engines, and then that's going to wrap this one up. But I will say that we're definitely moving along. Before you know it, the outside of the ship is going to be done. But there's still several videos before we get to that point. Just kind of looking here at the impulse engines, these extra blocks that I had here that are hanging out, I'm not really fond of those. And sometimes you're going to be left with that. You're going to have something that you put down, but you just never quite used it, and then it's just sticking out like a sore thumb. So I got to go in here and make sure my cut's going down all the way on both sides. Might even have to add a dark gray block there where that black one is. Have to add one there and also there to make my line straight. We'll leave that 3D for now. Or should I just have going down by 2? Could leave it like that. It doesn't look bad. Yeah. I think that's it right there. That's money on the impulse engines. I don't know if you can do a much better job than that. We've gotten a lot done today. I think that's going to wrap up this video. I just want to thank you again for tuning in to today's video. If you have any other questions, feel free to drop them down in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already to help me in supporting the channel. I definitely appreciate that. Appreciate all the views. Any suggestions you might have, appreciate that as well, both good and bad. And I will catch you guys tomorrow for episode 17. I hope everybody has a great day.